find her, smile gentle, and say, "Hello, old friend." The smile melts back. Your eyes gleam, the sun shines, the thoughts click like a clock, and one at a time, the logic of reality, the gratitude of a second chance, the clear picture of hope. It's a strange place to feel safe with my mind and think back to the years lost in mental war, the hours and days spent in the ever chasing thoughts, the ability to write so many words, all while saying nothing. The words repeating like a merry-go-round. When the spinning stops, it can't be stopped. You either wait for the spinning to stop or you risk your life. I got my life back, stopping the merry-go-round. My merry-go-round was on fire, trapped in the center, staring at my red-faced friend, stuck in the spinning of stories. Where would my pen go? Where has it been? What story will unfold? I often go back to the beginning and look at where I went wrong, where I went right, and think of new directions to go, proud of myself for how far I've came. What my story would have said, the story told is the story that is meant to be written. If I didn't leave my life and venture on a journey to find myself, I would have stayed lost. And what I wished I would have done that day is I would have saw Dr. B and told him my symptoms and asked to go to a psych ward, get medications to treat my real illness I hid. This is going back to when I left my life, my job that you hear me talk about all the time, how I left my career in this dramatic way. It was schizophrenia. It was this big dramatic thing that happened. And I look back and I think, why was it so dramatic? It didn't need to be that dramatic. But it very much was. And what I wish I would have done was just tell my boss I'm having a crisis. Something is medically, mentally wrong with me. Can I go to the hospital? And she would have said absolutely, and my job would have been just fine. What I do is I just can't work. I can't do anything. It's so bad. And when you have a stressful career, you don't get bad days. You got to be on your game every day, all day, professionalism, saying the right thing, doing the right thing. And if you fall off or have a bad day, your reputation is tarnished. And that's what happened to me is I ruined my reputation. I had a good friend who was a therapist who talked to me about a lot of stuff before I left, and it stuck with me. The conversations I write about over and over and over again because it sticks with me. And I unpack it and unfold it and fold it back up, unfold it again like it's a old letter that it was passed to me in middle school. When my boss wrote me up and asked what I wished I would have done is when my boss did write me up, ask for medical leave, go be an inpatient on Dr. B's advice. Spend some time away and think about what I wanted to do. In this reality, I still would have met Jesse in the park. The conversation still would have had a hold of me, and still I would have wanted to leave my marriage. And if I had been an inpatient stay at the beginning, I would have thought out a plan of action better. I would have stayed with my company. They would have worked with me through my mental health crisis. And they would have, and they were working with me through my mental health crisis because I was having after I met Jesse in the park. This is what happened. Let's just talk about what happened. So, what let's go back to the beginning of December 2020. What happened was I thought I was having COVID symptoms because it was 2020 and I hadn't had got COVID yet and everyone else had. We were wearing the mask with the shields. I couldn't breathe. I have bad trauma and triggers with being held down and my mouth covered and suffocation for reasons I don't want to get into on this little video, but I know why I that is a problem for me. So now that I figured out why suffocation and face covering is a problem for me, then I can figure out how to make it not a problem for me when I go like, when I say, okay, that's those things can't hurt me anymore. When I say that over and over again, these it can't hurt me anymore. It can't hurt me anymore. So when I'm getting hallucinations and visions that are painful, I have to remind myself these things can't hurt me anymore. But back, what happened was I was having these symptoms, but I really was having a nervous breakdown, which is what I really want to tell my old boss. I was having a nervous breakdown. It wasn't COVID. So I had to go on COVID leave, but the tests weren't right. They couldn't, blah, blah, blah. So my leave kept getting extended because you couldn't go back without a negative COVID test. Well, they done messed it up. Once I hit my time to where I was able to come back, right the day before I went back, I had went to see Jesse. This is the last time I saw him, and maybe the last time that I ever see him in this life. We had had a really long conversation about our life and where we were and where we wanted to go, and it didn't seem like where we were going to go was together. I he had said a great deal of really positive things to me leading up to the part. When he met me, that all changed. Accepting that upon meeting me, changed his decision and changed his love for me on a conversation was devastating to me. That the only reason why he pulled away, not because of my mental health, we weren't ready, we weren't in the right place, all these real life things that were in the way of us being together. And what I thought, I was like, this must mean that Taylor Swift is he's helping me get famous, and Taylor Swift's going to help us get famous, because I felt that she was speaking to me on Jesse's advice. So that's all very positive. When we had this part conversation, he ghosted me. He stopped talking to me. I sent him long messages that I'm sure they don't read. But I sent him a long message. I was very emotional, into work. The equipment wasn't working. I was in a center I wasn't comfortable with, and I had a massive panic attack. And I went into an office of a girl that I knew would tell on me, because she was close with the upper management, and I knew that she would tell on me. I At that point I was trying to get fired, because I did that's where my mind was. Why would I try to get fired from the best job in the world? I ask myself this every day of my life, and it's my schizophrenia. But at the time, it was 2020. My mom had terminally ill cancer. My marriage was failing very badly. I had a bill situation, and I was in this financial, emotional torment, mixed with I'm going to lose the most important person to me, which was my mother. And my mother lived in North Dakota at the time, and my company knew that they kind of needed to push me out to go be with her, because I wouldn't have left. I'm so emotional lately, but I wouldn't have left because we were at war. It was 2020, and there was just we were crying all the time because there were things that only we could see, and I was a confidentiality breach, because I knew things and I run my mouth. That's what I do. I talk. I don't mean to, but I accidentally tell everyone everything, because that's just who I am. And I can't change who I am, but that is who I am. But after that, um, I spiraled at work. When I spiraled at work because of Jesse, I knew that I was leaving. I needed to leave. I couldn't. I was unable to do that job duty. I needed to go to a hospital, but I didn't. I didn't get treatment. That was 2020. I didn't get medical treatment until 2023. So from 2020 to 2023, I talked to myself like I do now, but as if I was talking to Jesse, because I assumed he was in all of my devices, making me famous and helping me build content. None of these things are true, but I believe them for solid till, I mean, I'm not going to ever stop believing it, but I'll say I understand that that's not reality, even though I feel that to be my reality to the deepest level of my core, and shaking, trying to prove it wrong is what I've done, but then trying to prove it right, and then understanding that whatever that thing is that I have with Jesse has to be pulled from me and cut and severed. That way I can move on, and he can move on, and I stop crying. I don't think he cries, but I cry. But I'm a crier, so I feel things at the deep level and I cry. So, but that's all. Thank you.